Well, today we're going to review relations versus functions. So let's do it. A relation is just a set of points. That's all. So any set of points is a relation. Coordinates on a graph, like it could be like 3, 5, 3, 9, 2, 7, a set of points. It could also just be a graph with a bunch of points on it. There are a lot of ways to represent a function or a relation. A function is special. It's like a special relation. It's a relation where the x never repeats. That's one way to do it, or to write about it. You could also say that it is a relation that for every x there's one and only one y. But this is a very simple way to remember it. The x never repeats. So if you look up here at this one and we look at the x values, here are x's. This would not be a function because do you see there's 2 3s in the x column? This is not a function. It's a relation, but not a function, because to be a function, the x can never repeat. If you are given a set of points like these down here that we'll talk about, you just look at the x's and see if it repeats or if it doesn't repeat. But sometimes you'll be given an actual graph like this. You'll have a graph, and if it passes what's called the vertical line test, so here I'll make a little shape here. If it passes the vertical line test, then it is a function. And what that means is if you can draw a vertical line, maybe I'll get a pen that works. If you can draw vertical lines and it touches only one time, every single time, then that is a function. Yes, this is a function. However, let's use that same picture but kind of twist it sideways. If you are looking at something like this, maybe, you can see that if you draw a vertical line right here, well, there's 2 spots. Okay, it crosses twice. Here, it crosses twice. And while yes, it's true that if you can get it like really right there, it'll only cross once, because anywhere on the graph it crosses 2 times, it is not a function. All right, so let's do some quick examples. We want to know, is this our relation? Or we'll write, is it a function? How about that? All right, so is it a function? In order to decide when you're looking at a chart if something is a function, the only thing you want to look at are the x's, the domain. Okay, so there's the domain, -2, 1, 0, and 1. In order for it to be a function, you cannot have any numbers repeat in the domain. Since we have 2 1s, then this is not a function. The 1s repeat. Okay, no repeats in the x's in the domain. All right, let's look at the next one down. Example B. Again, we're only looking at the domain, the x's, and we're looking to see if there are any repeats. Well, we have 3 and -3, but those are not the same number. They're different. And so since there are no repeats, yes, this is a function. There are no repeating x's in the domain. All right, let's look at number 2. This one's written a little bit differently, but we do the same thing. The only number we worry about are the x values. So let's look at the domain. Are there any of those numbers that repeat? Yes, we have 2's that are repeating. So this is not a function. All right, because we have x's repeat. All right, now something just to point out. Do you see in the range the y values we have 2 7s? That does not matter. Okay, we are not concerned about the y values, only the x's. All right, this next one is called a mapping diagram. So a mapping diagram is just another way to organize the information. and really the first one is the x's and the second one is the y's. When you look at a mapping diagram to decide if it's a function, there can only be one y for each x. So you can see right here, here's the domain. And while no numbers repeat here, they might actually repeat when you look at it. So let's look at how they go together. This actually represents these points. Here, I'll make a little chart and show you how it kind of goes together. Okay, so when x is 1, y is 15. Do you see how those go together? When x is 3, y is 13. When x is 8, y is 17. When x is 10, y is 9. But it's also 20. And it's also 12. All right. So do you see how the x's, the domain, has these 10s that are repeating? And here you can see it because there are 3 lines coming out of it. This is not a function because the x's repeat. Now, a little side note, let's say you had this. Okay, let's say your x's were 1 and 2, your y was 5, and it looked like this. And there's 2 arrows coming from the y. Doesn't matter. This is a function. Okay, because we're looking for the repeats in the domain. The range doesn't matter. All right, and the last example. These are the examples you would use the vertical line test. So you just, some people call it a pencil test, but you just kind of look and see, is there any place that if I use this vertically, it's going to hit the picture more than once? There's once. And we can keep drawing lines, but look right here, 1, 2, 3 times it hits. So is this a function? No, not a function. It fails the vertical line test. All right, but let's look at the next one. No matter where I draw a vertical line, it's only hitting that green squiggle 1 time. So yes, this is a function. All right, I hope that was a good review. Have a great day.